me try this once again. The last video I made, the audio went out, but just to get right to the point, guys, look, these people are all the same, whether it be Nazis, Zionists, slavers, race slavers, you call them racist, right wing, left wing, whatever you want, all that bullshit. When they talk about that, they're talking about within their own group. Nazis, Zion, KKK. These all the coconuts that lick their boots. These people are all the same. You have to understand that, right? And what I mean is to try to get right to the point. For instance, the second in charge of the Confederacy in the United States that led slavery, blacks into slavery and apartheid, was a Jewish man named Judah P. Benjamin. But here you got this Jewish man claiming Jewish people are oppressed. You understand what I'm saying? So these people are all the same. They just talk out of both sides of their mouth. And it's just like the Civil War. The fight that they have, and when they talk about right wing, left wing, they're talking about within their own paradigm. They're not talking about you. You don't exist within their paradigm. You just think you do. You just a coconut. And you're like looking at living vicariously through other people. So you're looking at them, you're thinking, wow, I'm with you, brother. And they're like, motherfucker, we're not with you. You with us. That's different. You're cleaving on to us. We don't give a shit about you. You're just a slave. You're just a peon. You're just a pawn. You see? You're just a coconut. Let me play some of this, though. Let's play some of this.
Israeli government is doing in Gaza, targeting individuals marching for hostages in Boulder, Colorado.
Yeah. I don't think it's about geopolitics. I think it's about whether we still believe that Jews have the right to be safe at our synagogues, at peaceful protests, in diaspora communities, thousands of miles away from Gaza. And I think what is important to say right now is that anti-Jewish hate and violence are unacceptable. And I think you, Katie, have done that and shown moral clarity in your show. And I really hope more of your colleagues will do this, because I've never had the illusion that the far right is on our side. Their hatred doesn't surprise us. And that's why hearing President Trump making a statement today and using this horrific attack on American Jews to fan the flame of hostility towards immigrants is truly sickening. He didn't use the word anti-Semitism once in his statement.
Again, the assumption here, as with every report from a corporation like MSNBC, is that the Palestinian people do not have a right to be a victim. Their victimhood is denied. Their humanity is denied. Even their representation in the narrative is denied. They are not factored in. This goes back to the inception of the Balfour Declaration. They're always described by what they're not. They're not Jewish. They're not victims. Of course, we're going to hear from corporate media that the outrage here, it's not the genocide. It's the fact that Trump is blaming this attack on Biden and his border policy. That's just despicable.
The silence or worse that we feel, or the justification from some part of the progressive left, the political home of most Jews, including myself, cuts much deeper. And that silence is felt acutely because we've stood shoulder to shoulder in every fight for justice. And now we're asking, will you show up for us?
Well, let's talk about the discomfort there.
So yeah, I'll stop that right there. So what you need to understand is that these people are all the same. They'll try to make distinctions and say, well, we're on the left wing, this and that. They'll start talking about left wing, right. They're talking about within their own groups. You see? And it's a big club and you're not in it. But the coconuts, they think they in the club. But they too fucking dumb to realize that you're not in the club. You're just being used. You're a slave or a prostitute. You're just being used, right? You're a prostitute who mistakes prostitution for acts of prostitution for love. You see? You're a confused individual. Speaking of that, I got a video I'm gonna do on that, on one of these coconuts, right? So you just, and that's most of these coconuts out here. You just a coconut who You mistake your prostitution that you're doing for love in America. You say, I love America. America loves me. Love, whatever, all this, right? I love this country or whatever. You mistake prostitution for love. You don't understand the difference. Or maybe you do and you just a coward. But you have to understand, like, these people are all the same. Whether it's Zionists, Satanists, Nazis, right wing, left wing, colonizer, Western Christian, Judaeo-Christian, right? I'm gonna leave some of these terms out, but ish, right? All these people are all the same. KKK, Satanists, it's all the same thing. And they try to make distinctions to confuse you, but what they're talking about is within their own group. Like, you notice this, what did he say? What did this so-called Jewish man say? He said the far right. Well, what do you mean far right? So what there's the far right and then not so far right? There's just the right, then the far right, then the center right, then the center left right, the center left left. What the fuck are you talking about, man? You have to realize, like, this is just the things that you see, like he's arguing about Trump. Trump didn't say anti-Semitic. So these are people that are arguing amongst their own group. Jared Kushner is the so-called ish man that's married to Trump's daughter. Do you think Trump sees him as a black man or an Arab? No, he sees him as a white man. Any disagreement is coming from within their own group. The infighting, the civil war that took place in America was, fighting, white groups fighting over resources. Who's going to control the output from the slaves and the resources? Who's going to be at the top of the food chain? Will it be the ish Zionist faction? Will it be the Anglo-Saxon, Judeo-Christian faction, Satan? All the same. But it's just infighting, whether it's in Germany in 1942 or whether it's in America in the 1800s. The second in charge of the Confederacy was a Jewish man named Judah P. Benjamin that was leading blacks into slavery and apartheid in America. But this white man right here is complaining about, talking about he fighting for justice. When was y'all fighting for justice? It's all a facade. It's all fakery and fuckery. These are all the same. This is all the same group that's trying to. They try to play mind games. They masters of mind fuckery, mind games. That's all it is. So when you talk about Nazis, Satanists, Zionists, colonizer, Judeo-Christian, Western Judeo-Christian, KKK, racist race slaver, right? Apartheid supporter, Afrikaner, right? Segregationist, Joe Biden, he was a segregationist. You coconuts, you stupid coconuts. You're talking about the same, they're all the same group. Nothing's changed. They're just shuffling shit around, you see, trying to play mind games. For stupid coconuts. And you have to get that. You have to understand what you're dealing with. I was on the job a couple nights ago with one of these coconuts. He was weird, acting weird. But I've been around him so long now, I know how to deal with them. You talking to him, he ignoring you. I just stopped talking to him, put my headphones on. Then he tried to talk to me. Oh, hey man, hey, I'm like, what? Because I already knew, I looked at his last name, I saw he was a coconut. I ain't had to ask him where he was from. I already knew where he was from. You see? And they pretty much the same. These bootlicks and these coconuts, or bootlick coconut, they all the same. You just clock them in. You just basically, put them in with the same group. Just at the bottom of the ladder. You know what I'm saying? Just useful idiots. And you really have to understand that, like that way it doesn't, you don't waste any mental bandwidth trying to process what's going on. You say, oh, it's so complicated. No, it's not. They're all the same. You see? And they're just fighting for control. To see who's going to control the slaves and the coconuts. That's it. When you see Germany 1940s, when you see the Civil War in the 1800s, and you understand the players, when you see South Africa, Latin America, where they speak Spanish, that's not the Indian language, indigenous Indian, Portuguese, Brazil, Portugal is in Europe. And you start to realize, you know what I mean, Mexico, they speak Spanish. Well, that's in Europe. Spain is in Europe. Then you start to realize, oh, they all the same. It's just they're all the same. Whether you talk, you look at the pictures on the wall of white Jesus, you look at the huge white Jesus statues in South America and all that kind of shit. You're like, oh, it doesn't click. They're all the same. When you talk about Satanists, KKK, Nazis, Zionists, race slavers, colonizers, right? All these groups, far right, blah, blah, blah. That's just bullshit. They're all the same. There's no difference, no distinction. The noise and the static and the rhetoric that you hear is just to confuse you, and as they infight amongst themselves. It's a big club and you're not in it. You're just a byproduct. You're just a prostitute. You're not the pimp. And they sprinkle little crumbs on these coconuts and in different and patsies and pawns, right? Your Obamas and different ones. Head coconut there. And so you start to think that you're in charge, right? It's sort of like Bane in Batman when he touched the guy on the shoulder and he said, I'm in charge here. But then Bane touched him on the shoulder and said, do you feel like you're in charge? And then he killed him. You're just a silly coconut. You're just going to be thrown overboard at some point. In most cases. So you have to understand what you're looking at. They're all the same. You're just looking at infighting amongst groups. A lot of times you got to know how to stay out the way. So, but anyway, I'm going to leave it there. That's all I got.